G'day folks, welcome back. My name is Maro, you've figured that out by now, and today we're going to chat through the case of Frew and Oakley windows and doors. This is a case about whether you can takesies backsies on a deal you've almost got done, and the short answer is probably not. What do you need to know? Well, there's a bloke, he's a fabricator for a windows and doors company. The windows and doors company doesn't have quite the same amount of work that it used to have, so there's a bit of a chit-chat between the parties, and old mate Frew essentially agrees to go on some leave for a while, and then some leave without pay for a while, and come back when business picks up. In a not surprising turn of events, business does not pick up, and the two parties begin a conversation about what kind of opportunity there might be to come back, on what basis, and how that might look. Now, a few things are important to note here. In the course of those conversations, it seems a few things happen. First and foremost, it seems that the employer has a go at offering or casualizing the relationship. Hey, how about we make it a casual arrangement? Employee emphatically denies that aspect, and that sort of drifts off and past us. There's another alleged conversation about the possibility of this individual engaging in the business and effectively coming back at a time and place that they agree. They can't quite agree that. So then it comes into a possibility about, well, maybe there's a redundancy conversation that could be had here, and there's a potential acceptance around that in the sense that, yes, the parties agree, and the employer's going to womble off and have a think about what that number might be. There's also a slight hint, a soupçon, if you will, of a suggestion that the employer has gone and watched or had a look at some of the behaviours of the employee and indicated that some of the sick aspects that they put on the table might not be completely true. So a little bit of a kick in the tail there, or a twist in the tail of the story. What's really interesting, though, is that instead of coming back with a kind of figure and a plan, the employer allegedly comes back and says, look, actually, come back around this date. Your job's going to kind of be the same, but we may end up changing some of the actual requirements and the hours and the process for the role. Effectively, we may change the role in its entirety by the sounds of things. And don't worry about it, she'll be right. Now, as you can imagine, there is some worry about it, and all is not right. A really interesting subset in this case is a conversation about public holidays and the fact that this employee is not at work but able and ready to present at work and would have otherwise been working. So on a public holiday, are they entitled to that public holiday payment? And it turns out the authority says yes. Yes, they are. But in terms of the case overall, the authority ultimately determines that, look, there was a bargain here. In good faith, you should have seen that through. You haven't done that. You've sort of changed the rules, changed the game, effectively disadvantaged the employee. We accept that to be the truth in this matter and award against the employer for that poor behaviour. So in summary, folks, what do I take from this case? A really simple point. Effectively, if you agree to do a deal, even on a handshake basis, you've pretty much agreed to do a deal, at least something that if you go to court over, will most likely have been found to have been a commitment that you should see through. That's a bit different from strict legal interpretation, where if you don't have everything crossed and dotted, you might be able to work your way back. But I think in the employment law context, there's a more purposive approach taken to this, so you need to be very careful about whether you are or are not effectively agreeing to an undertaking at the outset. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as always, it's a great pleasure to be here. I hope you guys enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you again soon.